Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs Articles of Incorporation were signed by the Washington Secretary of State on December 9, 1963. With many changes occurring in the 1960s, the creation of a unified organization representing all sectors of law enforcement in Washington state was a groundbreaking step to enhancing law enforcement collaboration. Since its establishment as an organization in 1963, WASPC has celebrated many milestones.
They wanted to have this togetherness, not be separate, not think that one is more important than the other, and saw in the future that by combining and getting together, they would have more power, they could do more training, which wasn't supplied by the state at that time. They had to do some of their own training. And so I think that future was seen by these gentlemen and started the WASPC Association at that time. It's really a unique organization.
So when you start to learn what other people who are facing the same problems you're facing, how they dealt with them, and you get ideas how to deal with your own problems, you know, that's priceless, and it doesn't cost you anything except the cost of going to the conference. So the conferences are extremely important, and they build the teamwork and the committees that makes it all come together.
In 1975, the Washington State Legislature declared in statute WASPC as a combination of units of local government. This declaration allowed for the association to function as a body of government.
Part of that was brought about because the chiefs and sheriffs reported the crime stats, UCR reports at that time, and they understood that whoever has the information also has some power with it. And they wanted to maintain control over their own crime stats and how that was reported, and to make sure it was done accurately and correctly.
Former Sheriff William Webb was hired as WASPC's executive secretary in 1976. In 1979, former Sheriff Gene Cotton was hired as WASPC's executive director. In 1994, former Sheriff Larry Erickson was hired as WASPC's executive director.
WASPC is the kind of an organization that you get out of it what you put into it. If you want to become a leader in the law enforcement community in the state of Washington, WASPC is the place that you start that. And you don't go in there and say, okay, I'm here to be the president. For the most part, you go in there and you pay your dues. You take part in the committee process. You learn from the committee chairs that are there. You get involved in the committee work, and basically that's where you kind of get a hands-on feel for what the whole system is about. But I learned so much from the members of the organization.
I think the WASPC's strength over the last 50 years is the fact that the chiefs and sheriffs of the state of Washington have bonded together to provide leadership training, core curricula, to strengthen the law enforcement capabilities in this state. We talk about issues facing law enforcement, we map out a vision for law enforcement, and we strengthen the bonds between city and county, state and federal law enforcement in a way that will better serve the public of the state of Washington.
The early 2000s were a time of significant growth for the association. Several programs were either established or expanded during this time.
I think that WASPC itself is its greatest accomplishment. I mean, the fact that WASPC has been in existence for 50 years and has the reputation that it has in Olympia is huge. WASPC is the go-to organization when it comes to criminal justice issues.
We produce. I think that that's probably, in the long run, the most significant reason why we become the go-to agency is that when we're asked to do something, we only commit to do what we can do, and once we commit, we do it. And we do it with quality, and we do it with integrity. I think that we're viewed as an honest broker, that we're not just there to pad whatever the the program happens to be, but that we give honest answers and try to do things that improve public safety. And so we're trusted and we deliver. I think that we're really largely viewed as representing the good guys. We represent law enforcement, and our law enforcement administrators have the best interest of their communities and community safety at heart. And so over the years, we really have become the go-to folks in the legislature. If there's a piece of criminal justice legislation, one of the first questions that is asked all over the legislature is, what does WASPC think about this? And that's a good place to be because our opinion's valued and we can influence legislation very early on so that it doesn't get cast in concrete before we have to come in and try to change it.
In October of 2003, under the leadership of past President Don Lane, WASPC opened its new headquarters in Lacey.
Oh, I could tell stories forever. I guess my perspective is that somewhere along the line, we changed from worrying about making things better for us to making things better for everybody in the system. And I can't put my finger on just when that happened, but I noticed that change in our organization where we were looking at the bigger picture of the whole system and trying to make the system better instead of just trying to make law enforcement better. And we really became active partners with the prosecutors and other players, the cities and the counties, trying to make a better system for the whole state. And I am very proud of that we did that. That mindset of let's make it better for everybody is a wonderful thing when you think about it.
On Valentine's Day 2005, former Chief Don Pierce was hired as WASPC's executive director and a new era of leadership began. In May 2008, Chief Colleen Wilson was elected the first female president of WASPC. In 2012, Mitch Barker was hired as WASPC's executive director, taking the association to its next era of leadership. In 2013, WASPC is celebrating our rich history and looking into the future.
Now, as you look out at the association as we're celebrating our 50th anniversary, it's incredible how far this association has come. If you could turn the clock back to the very early days, you wouldn't recognize it. I think that we started out more as a fraternal kind of a group in the beginning, and a lot of our members, when they gathered, saw it more as a fraternal organization, a kind to come together and have some fun and stay in the hospitality suites till the wee hours of the morning. And it's evolved over time to an organization that's professional, well respected, and to where we are today, where we're one of the most significant voices of law enforcement in our state. We manage most of the statewide law enforcement programs, and we can be very proud as an association that as chiefs and sheriffs and heads of state and federal agencies, we manage our own future, we manage our own programs. We make a difference every day as an association, not only for our law enforcement executives, but also we make a difference for the communities that we all serve. So it really is remarkable where we are after 50 years, and I hope that 50 years from now someone can sit here and say the same thing about the next 50 years.
WASPC is a solid organization serving the law enforcement community and the citizens of Washington State for 50 years.
I see WASPC's future being very firmly rooted in its past. That past of that strong bond between chiefs and sheriffs, local, state, federal, law enforcement, mapping out a future to ensure the professionalism of law enforcement in this state.
The mission of the association is to lead collaboration among law enforcement executives to enhance public safety. WASPC has a robust membership with over 850 active, associate, affiliate, and life members. Our members represent local, state, tribal, university, and federal law enforcement organizations.
Chiefs and sheriffs, we are one. We have the same common goal. And while we have maybe different, our agencies may look different, we link arms and we move ahead on this. So as Sheriff Knezovich comes on board, I see a very smooth transition, just as there was when Sheriff Rohr stepped down and I took over for Sheriff Rohr. It's the same thing. It's just people that have genuine interest in the same common goals, and it works very, very well. And I think it should be a model for across the country, to be quite frank.
The feeling that you're not alone, that you can get help if you need it, because the chief's job and the sheriff's job can be a really lonely job at times, and especially when you have to make the decisions you know are going to be unpopular and you know you're going to be on the front page and nobody's going to be happy. We all get those, and your peer group understands, because they've been there too. And so that has been wonderful to feel that support.
I would highly, highly recommend chiefs and sheriffs, if you're not involved with WASPC, to please become involved. You will be very happy with the investment you make. That return on your investment is going to be well worth it.
As you reflect upon WASPC's past and consider what is in store for the association's next 50 years, please ask yourself, how are you going to support WASPC's mission? The successes of this organization are only possible with the involvement and support of our members. What do you see for the association's future? How will you be a part of our future?